So, man, I love anime, but there just aren't any shows out there that I can really relate to. None of these shows capture the struggle that it is to be me. No one understands the privilege you people have to breathe the air that I breathe. So I guess I'll just live my life being completely and utterly misunderstood. What? What is this? The Eminence in Shadow? It can't be. He's literally me! Isn't it super ironic that the first episode opens up with a girl that gets super annoyed because Sid keeps forgetting her name, only for you to eventually finish a show and completely forget that she existed? Like, for real, I dare you to tell me what her name is without searching it up. That's right, you can't. Which is why Sid couldn't remember it at all. Okay, Ayano Koji, Mr. You Are Not Worthy of My Smile. And why would he remember? Who the does she think she is? Does she know whose presence she's standing within? Why would he waste his precious memory space on a peasant such as her? From what I remember, she was actually some really important person's daughter, but who honestly cares? In comparison, she's basically a pebble on the side of the road compared to the creator of the Four Realms himself. The only useful thing she did was getting kidnapped. Damn, that was a dark sentence to read out. My bad, guys. Because it helped with our man's debut. But he drops down from the ceiling and starts wrecking everybody's shit. See, what's special about Sid is that he has the exact same mindset as, well, me. He isn't like the rest of the world. While everybody else has moved on from their dreams of becoming superheroes, Sid, the Chad himself, works for that dream. Some people say it isn't possible, but Sid literally became what Batman wishes he could be. He's honed his skills in nearly every sense of martial arts, forming his own personal style, not only beating a bunch of even forming his own style with these iconic bars of his. With the sheer discipline of this man, he became a person capable of not only beating a bunch of criminals, but beating a full-fledged soldier. And so, with his overwhelming abilities as a human being, what name does he adopt for himself? What name does he use to strike fear into his enemies' hearts? He calls himself Stylish Bokan Slayer. He's so badass! But this man, with his infinite wisdom, knows the truth. He's only human. No matter how hard he trains, no matter how hard he studies, he'll be completely helpless against something like a nuclear explosion. So he decides to become the nuclear explosion. While training, he starts screaming for magic, probably a strategy that we mere mortals could never understand. But then in comes everyone's favorite villain in all of anime, Truck-kun, the demon whose sole job it is to isekai the hell out of every character in existence. But this time, he may have met his match, because Sid 100% jumped in front of Truck-kun on purpose. He definitely didn't get dizzy from bashing his head on the wall. No! He knew about Truck-kun's existence and jumped in front of him so that he could achieve true power. Power beyond what his old mortal body could hope to accomplish. And so, we say goodbye to the stylish ruffian slayer, but now we welcome the Eminence in Shadow. No one can convince me otherwise, but there are no other isekai protagonists more overpowered than Shadow. Now, listen, when I say that, I don't mean there aren't any characters out there that are more powerful than him. What I'm saying is that there are no other characters out there that dominate their respective worlds better than he does. Sure, I'm pretty sure Rimuru and Anos are stronger than him technically, or not, I haven't read the light novel. And while they are super overpowered in their own worlds respectively, neither of them have accidentally rewritten the history of their world by just telling a made-up story. Here we have Alpha, the first of literally hundreds of girls that follow Shadow's every move, aka the smartest characters in the show. And when she sees him for the first time, she's hesitant. She doesn't know whether or not to believe him, in which case, this man decides to make up a whole story and tell her that she was experimented on by some evil organization or whatever, and that he was planning to take them down. The thing is though, he was totally bullshitting. None of what he said was true, or at the very least, he didn't realize it was true, because it later turns out that the evil organization actually does exist. What? The reason Sid is one of the most overpowered main characters ever is because the world around him literally bends to his will at all times, whether he does it intentionally or not. You know what? I'm entirely convinced that he literally created this world. Come on, isn't it a little suspicious? Sid, a man that was probably the most powerful man in the real world, died while wishing for the power of magic, only for him to wake up in a world with, surprise surprise, magic. And this world folds itself to fit this man's vision? Yeah, no one can tell me otherwise. Shadow 100% created this world. This man was so powerful that he, without hesitation, went into a bath with a woman, and when she tried to insult his little shadow, he stands up with pure and literal big pee-pee energy. This dude flexed his Excalibur in her face. Oh, not to mention, this girl was literally his ex. A character that I need to give more props to is his sister, Claire. Now, obviously, she doesn't hold a candle to the power of our man himself, but she's pretty badass too. She's considered a prodigy in this world, and by the end of the season, she was scouted to be on Princess Iris's main squadron. And back then as a kid, when she was kidnapped, she didn't cry or anything. Truly a badass in her own right. But what I'll always compliment her for is her love for her baby brother. When the dude threatens to hurt Sid, she breaks out of the damn chains and starts throwing hands immediately. That kind of dedication for our Lord and Savior Shadow is to be respected. Anyway, Sid and his army of gal pals save her, and this is where I'll introduce a topic that'll start a debate. A debate that makes Goku vs. Superman look peaceful. Who is best girl in Shadow Garden? The most important debate in history. First, we have Alpha, the first loyal follower of Shadow, and is most likely the second most powerful character in the entire verse, completely overshadowing the legendary Princess Iris's power in her very first shown fight. Imagine being a legendary fighter in your verse, but on your first on-screen fight, some elf girl beats the monster you were fighting in a better way than you could have ever dreamed of. Not to mention, she completely scares the shit out of the rest of the Shadow Garden members because of how damn raw she is. Then there's Delta, for those who like getting cut by their partners. A cat girl who ain't the domesticated kind of cat, but the kind of cat that you go to the doctor because of. She absolutely eradicated this bald bitch over and over again for what seemed like ever. He was out here bragging about how he has over 100 clones or something and how they couldn't possibly get through all of them. So Delta out here just goes, 100 clones? So basically, I just have to kill you 100 times. Damn, okay. On the other hand, we got Gamma, who is not at all a fighter. You know that one friend who would constantly slip and fall, and you were just convinced that they were gonna die at the ripe old age of 24? Yeah, that's her. She for real the clumsiest person you'll ever meet, but because it's anime, it comes off as endearing. Aw, did you break your nose? How adorable. Despite her severe lack of physical capabilities though, she does have the mind of a grinder. Wow, that is not what I meant to say. I meant that while she's got no business on the battlefield, her mind is all about business. That was clever, right? Yeah, that was clever. She took all of Shadow's stories about his previous world and brought them to life. Like, dude, she invented chocolate and coffee. That is insane. You know how people say, get you someone that can cook? How about you get someone that can invent Peak from scratch? Another one we got is Epsilon, who literally used her powers to give herself breast implants just to satisfy Shadow. That's dedication. And yeah, there are hundreds of others out there, but most of them are just named by number at that point, so a lot of them are irrelevant. But now we got my personal favorite, and the objective best one out of all of them, Beta. I will accept nothing other than agreement. Sure, we haven't actually seen much of her fighting capabilities, but from what I know, she's actually the 5th strongest member in all of Shadow Garden. But the main thing that caught my attention was her ambition. Some of us out here are struggling to figure out what we want to do in life, but this girl knows what she wants and how to get it. While Gamma took Shadow's stories about the food industry, it's kind of hard to take credit for that, right? Sure, investors are gonna know who you are, but many of the general populace won't be searching your name up when they eat some chocolate. Which is why Beta is a genius. She decided to take the stories that Shadow brought from this world, and she ended up writing those books herself, bringing them to that world. Dude, can you imagine if someone from our world wrote Harry Potter, Alice in Wonderland, and One Piece? Bro, if someone wrote such legendary stories by themselves, they'd be the most single treasured human being in history. Which is what makes her so smart. By writing these stories, her name is going to be all over the world because she's the author. People will know who she is. So with that reputation, she becomes famous within the verse as a world-renowned author. She did all of this for the sole purpose of being more useful for Shadow. By becoming famous, she can join upper-class events and getting close with high-ranked individuals school so that she can gain more intel, pushing the cause of Shadow Garden even further. She's a whole genius. And additionally, her love for Shadow is unrivaled. Look, I just love writers and authors, and while her credibility as one may not seem that high because she just copied other stories, she would have had to remember every single detail of these stories and execute them really well. I challenge any of you to write the entire Dragon Ball series and Bleach series and see if people receive your version as well as the real one. But if that doesn't prove she's a writer, she's writing an original book that's basically a Wattpad story of her ex Shadow, which may seem creepy to many, but I call it passionate. While she was writing, she admitted that she needed to touch some grass. And if that seriously isn't enough, well, I got one more trick up my sleeve. My ace in the hole. She has the same voice actress as Rem. Maybe it's a short-haired girl bias I have, where the second love interests, aka the ones usually with shorter hair, are the ones I usually cheer for, but they just forever end up losing. Like, I'm pretty sure Alpha is gonna win over Shadow by the end of the show. Like, look how comfortable they are with each other, oh my god. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll be endgame. If this show was a rom-com, but it's not. I'm not sure what'll happen to Shadow romantically, but it doesn't matter. This man doesn't have time for that. Shadow Garden isn't even really a pool of potential love interests. It was an accidental harem. Hell, even Perv Asshat. No way that's his actual name. It actually is. This show, man. Someone asked Perv Asshat if this one dude was part of a Shadow Garden, and Perv said no, because he's a man. Shadow Garden only has women. Out of all of the actual love interests that Shadow has been given outside of Alpha, he's given no interest in any of them. As part of his background character act, he fake confesses his love to one of the most popular girls in the school, but he wanted to get rejected because, again, his goal was to look like a background character. But she accepts his confession and starts a relationship with him. This man just doesn't lose. He is physically allergic to taking L's. He just can't stop twinkling. But see, this man's got priorities. He doesn't want to waste his time with all that. He needs to be the eminence in Shadow. When Alexia gets kidnapped, oh my god. That is the third character to get kidnapped in the show, and it hasn't even been 10 episodes yet. But yeah, you get the drill. He saves her, but the way he does it? Oh, you know it by now. What is he doing? This dude, in the process of saving a single person, nuked the entire city. Imagine being so powerful that when you say an attack, your voice actor feels the need to start sucking the mic. I am sorry. This is a show you need to watch with your earphones on if you want the full experience, because my ears were being utterly massaged by Shadow that time. And after that, Alexia develops real feelings for Sid, because of course she does. But he refuses, because this man is on a Sigma male grind set. She definitely takes it well. Some people just be crazy. Sherry was better anyway. Sid is honestly just who every human being should strive to be. He just says what everybody's thinking, man. Don't lie, boys. We've all fantasized about saving our school from terrorists. All of your friends watching and you just jump in all badass and save the day? Sid is a real one for living his dream out. He starts out by doing a dramatic sacrifice to save someone. Again, this is something we've all fantasized about, and pretended to die all dramatically right there. Oh yeah, and by the way, the girl he saves becomes a love interest later on, but she was kind of forgettable. Like, yeah, she'll be important next season, but ma'am, please get more of a personality. Again, Sherry's better. Actually, wait, let me explain why Sherry's better. Because she came to the school not because of her prowess as a knight or anything, but because of her knowledge and education. And guess what? She was actually useful during this entire attack. Everyone's magic was turned off because of some magical device the villains had, so she single-handedly made a device to counter it. Shadow kept her safe and alive because he knew that she was actually valuable. So, how does Shadow reward this girl for her hard work and efforts? How does he show her that she was responsible for saving the school? He kills her dad. Dude! He has no chill. Granted, the dad was actually an evil dude who actually murdered Sherry's mom and adopted Sherry so that he could use her and her intelligence, but Sherry didn't know this. So she just witnessed this dude stab her dad only a few years after someone stabbed her mom. Again, it was this dude who murdered her mom, but she didn't know that. She hates Shadow now. You want to say let him cook? Bro, he cooked her dad! So now she's out for revenge, but honestly, what good is that gonna do? Is she gonna make some potion or something to kill him? Dude, he is unbeatable. Shadow is single-handedly the most powerful thing this world has ever seen. Not to mention the most disrespectful. I swear, man, he's adopting the Devil May Cry mentality. It's not about how you beat your opponent, it's about how good you look doing it.
Smoke is sexy style!
You see this girl, Olivia, she was the legendary hero who saved the world years ago, and Shadow bites her. Granted, the old dude admits that he can never replicate the real power of Olivia, but to make up for that, he sends about 100 of her clones after him. And so Shadow does his signature move and just blows the place up. Perfect. Oh, yeah, and sorry, I almost missed it. But this was after he fought this girl. Who's this girl, you may ask? Oh, she's just the witch who almost ended the world. She had the power to destroy the planet, and Shadow, he one-shots her. This is what I mean when I say his overpoweredness is unrivaled. Every single character that is introduced to be a badass, unstoppable fighter gets stomped by Shadow. And I mean that literally. Aurora the Witch, I think, was probably the strongest person Shadow has ever fought because he actually had fun fighting her. But the main fight everyone likes talking about is the final fight of the season. Shadow versus Beatrix and Iris. Now, there is a reason I said Beatrix before Iris. That's because Beatrix is infinitely better than Iris. See, when Beatrix and Cid met beforehand, it was actually a really wholesome moment. Just a normal conversation that ended with her trying to stab him. But not in a crazy Alexia kind of way. See, what makes Beatrix so cool is the fact that she can tell that Cid is way more powerful than he's letting on. She doesn't know that he's Shadow per se, but she knows that he is powerful. She even defends Cid against the upper class by telling all of them that he is strong, much to the dismay of Cid because he wants to keep things low-key. So her trying to stab him was actually just an attempt to make him show off his power. Almost exactly the same as when Trunks tried to attack Goku, but Goku didn't move. Except this time, if Goku pretended to be scared and fell. The next time they interacted was literally just them crossing paths, then exchanging snacks. The scene really didn't do anything besides that, so it was just really wholesome. Plus, the best part of her is that she called perv asshats stinky. You're gross. Ew. Stink. She's such a bean, I love her. Now compare her to Iris. She was the girl who got her thunder stolen by Alpha, who, by the way, I think is Beatrix's niece, I'm not sure, which is further proof that Beatrix's bloodline is better than Iris. Anyway, Iris all her life was told that she was a prodigy, and that everyone cherished her and loved her. So, she thought that she was the best. She gives off such nice and caring vibes, which to be fair, she is. Outside of battle, she's a nice person, but when shit hits the fan, her colors are shown. Her pride makes her the most self-entitled brat I have ever seen. People keep saying that Cid's got some secret beef with Iris because of how much he disrespects her, but I think he's completely valid, man. The way he just constantly taunts the shit out of her, it's beautiful. When disguised as this guy, he straight up doesn't move and puts the fear of God in her. She sees herself getting sliced to pieces, her leg gone, her arm gone, her whole head gone. And when everyone's looking at her like, is she scared? The legendary Princess Iris? Scared? Eventually, she snaps out of it, charges at him, but gets completely and utterly destroyed. This pisses her off so much that she does something that makes me lose all respect for her. When Shadow appears, Beatrix attacks her and they have a nice fair duel. Sure, he's obviously beating her, but hey, respect on her for still standing, right? Anyway, Iris joins the fight, and while people say respect the 1v1, I think this is fine because she announces that she's going to join instead of a sneak attack, and come on guys, their opponent is Shadow. They'll need all the help they can get. But she proceeds to pull out an artifact and uses that as her weapon. If you don't know what that is, they're basically legendary items that can be used to cause devastating destruction. Artifacts grant you power that can be considered godlike. Iris herself was saying that people who use artifacts in battle have no sense of honor because they aren't using their own power. Well, look at her now. Now, some of you are gonna say that, well, she thinks she's fighting a villain. She's gonna need that power, right? She's gonna put her pride aside. Look, I'd agree with you, yeah, if she was actually fighting to save people. But no, she didn't put her pride aside to save the kingdom by using it. She picked it up because of her pride, because she was pissed off that she lost earlier. Dude, you cannot tell me that the amount of damage that she is causing is in the best interest of the people. Even Beatrix is looking at her like, yo, calm down. This is why Iris sucks. Me and the homies all hate Iris. Hashtag we stand Beatrix. Even Shadow doesn't like Iris, bro. He actively insults her, saying that he doesn't respect her for using borrowed power. And this man again starts disrespecting him by saying, let's see if you two are worthy of staying in my memory. Buddy is just flexing at this point. On the other hand though, he's actually complimenting Beatrix. While Iris is using an artifact to fight at this level, Beatrix is using her own power fair and square. Shadow even says that Beatrix is so good that while her magic power is lacking, she's basically on the level of Shadow Garden in terms of sword fighting, which is a lot because the people in Shadow Garden are the most powerful people in the entire verse. So again, respect for Beatrix. Eventually though, Shadow stops playing and beats the ever-living fuck out of him. Like, damn Shadow, no, come on, don't do our girl like that, come on. At the end of it, they know they're outmatched and Shadow starts chanting the legendary words. They just accept it and believe that this is where they're going to die. But he doesn't do it. He doesn't blow up the city. Thank God! Look, I had zero expectations when going into the Eminence in Shadow. I honestly thought it was going to be another forgettable isekai that parodies certain things, sure, but I didn't think it was going to be all that special. Boy was I wrong though. It's not the best isekai though. That title belongs to ReZero, with Konosuba closely behind. But it was definitely a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It was a lot of fun, and I genuinely cannot wait for season 2. I'm just so glad that I finally have an anime that understands me.